Hey Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver, and today we're doing part 2 of the 4-part series about how to maintain your money as a gig economy worker in a gig economy world. So that was exciting. If you have just gotten to this video and you haven't seen part 1, down below in the description I will leave a link to the playlist and all the other videos in this service. So today we're going to talk about different kinds of saving programs that you can have. Mainly we're going to focus on Coinbase, which is an app you can use on your phone to invest in different kinds of cryptocurrency. What? Did I just say invest in Bitcoin? I did. Oh my gosh, you're gonna lose your minds. Yes, stick around. Mystro! Hey guys, if this is your first time here, welcome. Go ahead and hit subscribe down below and the stupid YouTube bell icon so you can get notifications whenever I upload a video or I go live. If you're returning, welcome back. I love you returners. Go ahead and leave a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Do you trust Bitcoin in cryptocurrency? Is it something that you do, or are you out of the game? So every Monday I do a video just like this, a tip for you rideshare drivers out there. So I do some tricks, some strategies, so go ahead and look forward to that every Monday. Every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I do a live Ask Me Anything. I do that at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and if you are new and you have a question, go ahead and ask. Feel free to ask me a question. I also give new driver tips at that time. Friday and Saturday, if you log in to my channel, you will see me in my car. I do live in-car driving streams, so that way everybody, drivers and customers, can enjoy the rideshare times that I have going around grinding out that money. So today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin more specifically, but in general, cryptocurrency and the new world and we are headed into because of the gig economy. So technology has developed so fast and freed us from a lot of things, and one of the things it's done is it revolutionized the way we work. That's why you do Uber and Lyft, right? You're an independent contractor, you drive your own car, you make money. A lot of you do Fiverr or TaskRabbit, which is just another gig economy thing where you do certain gigs. A lot of you have already been doing this before the internet. You're like a plumber on the side, or you do roofing during the summers in addition to your job, or you pick up paint work on the weekends. These are all things that we would call a gig economy, that you do one gig and get paid for at one time, as opposed to a traditional job where you show up 9 to 5, you get a paycheck and a retirement going forward. So because of the changes in employment and the changes in the way we do labor, so in the post-internet era, or you can call it during the millennial generation, maturing, whatever you feel comfortable with, we've changed a lot of the ways that we do traditional employment. So I'll use the Army as an example because everyone kind of knows somebody in the Army, a family member or a friend. If you do 20 years in the Army, you get 50% of your paycheck for the rest of your life. If you do 30 years in the Army, you get 60% of your paycheck for the rest of your life. Meaning if you make $100 a year, obviously you don't, this is just for math, once you do your 20 years, you get $50 a year for the rest of your life. If you live to be 20, if you live to be 120, you get that. It's called a retirement check. So for a lot of millennials, this is going to be confusing because they don't know what that is. Those are like pretend money-making things that only people from the 70s and before know about. Now in the civilian world, these are called pensions, and they are even more rare because most companies don't offer pensions anymore. But again, the idea was instead of paying you higher wages for the production that you're getting, that you would get taken care of once you can't work anymore. So if you follow a chart, and I might be able to put one up here if I can find it on the internet in post-production, but wages are going like this, they're stagnating, but profits are going like this, and traditionally your wages followed the company's profits, meaning if you made the company an extra $100 billion, they would take that $100 billion and distribute it to all their employees in higher wages the next year. And that incentivized you to do a good job. Well, that stopped working because companies are greedy, and instead the deal they made with workers is that you would get some kind of pension. So if you worked for them for 30 years, you could retire or go to get a second job and work on a second pension, and they would pay you for the rest of your life out of like a big giant pension fund, and that guaranteed for lifelong work helped you because you didn't know if you were going to get sick or hurt or if you could work in the future. And once you got that pension, you knew you were at least going to be able to take care of your family should you go into retirement age. Well, those days are gone. Pensions don't exist anymore, basically. Or companies steal from them. So that's just the way it is. Enron is a great example of that. You had people working at that company 40 years. All their money was Enron stock. Enron went down. Now they have no retirement. Even government agencies are going away from retirement. Unions are dying. So traditional long-term payments are dead, right? So in a gig economy, you need to be much more safe about how you store your money. So in part one, we talked about banks. Obviously, you should sign up for Aspiration or a local credit union that's going to give you some good percentages on your money. But what we're going to talk about is not how you pay your bills week to week, month to month, right? How you pay the rent. You do it obviously out of a checking account. We're going to talk about savings, okay? So any investor or finance professional will tell you you need to have 90 days of income saved up so you can pay your bills. So the way you need to determine how to do this is figure out what your car payment is, figure out what your phone payment is, figure out what your rent is, figure out generally how much it costs for food in your house, electricity, water, cell phone, insurance, all your monthly bills. You should already know this anyway, and if you haven't done a budget, for the love of God, do one. But find out what your expenses for 1 month is, multiply that by 3, and that's how much money you should have in some kind of liquid savings account. Traditionally, people have used money markets for this because money markets have a higher interest rate than a regular savings account, so you can make more money on it. And this is an emergency fund, so this is not going to be something that like, oh, I want to buy a big screen TV, so you go into your emergency fund, right? No, you just keep it there for 3 months worth of bills, so that way if you get hurt or fired or disconnected from Uber or whatever that is, and you can't make any money right now because you're in the hospital, you have a backup plan. And it takes a while to save up 3 months of savings. So I understand that. It might be a 5-year goal, it might be a 10-year goal, but the thing is, eventually you are going to want to get to that point sometime in your life because you need to have that to fall back on. So because of that, I'm going to suggest that you invest at least half of your savings into Bitcoin or some kind of cryptocurrency. So if you are definitely scared of cryptocurrency and you don't want to make the commitment yet, okay, I understand. Keep that traditional money in your money market. You think it's safer. And then just put a little bit of money into the Bitcoin. So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is what's known as a cryptocurrency. And a cryptocurrency is a unique anomaly in the economic world that has basically changed the rules of the game. It's similar to a foreign currency, right? Like if you were to get a euro in Europe, or a yen or a peso or whatever, they have exchange rates kind of sort of going country to country, right? It's sort of similar to that, but it's not really a foreign currency. It's sort of more similar, in my opinion, to a commodity like gold or oil or something like that. Like you can go to the stock market right now and you can invest in barrels of oil or ounces of gold or silver or copper. And based on how the market does, that investment in gold is going to go up or down. So it's similar to a commodity in that way because the value of a Bitcoin goes up and down based upon the markets as people buy and sell it. So that's kind of like that, but it's also like physically having the commodity in your hand at the same time in cash, right? Like you can use Bitcoin to purchase a Subway sandwich if the Subway sandwich store has a Bitcoin slider. So it's kind of like old school days of being a 49er in California. So right, like you'd pan for gold or you dig for gold or whatever, and you'd have a pouch of a bunch of gold, and when you went to buy and sell something, you would do the transaction literally in gold, right? Like you'd go to a restaurant and they'd have like a little weight and you'd say, hey, I want today's food. So you'd sprinkle a little bit of gold flake on there and they'd weigh it, and then they go, oh, hey, that's how much this pickaxe or this food costs, right? So you would do almost a barter system where you exchange a specific amount of gold for a service. And that's kind of also how Bitcoin works. So let me explain what I'm talking about. You can exchange Bitcoin on a market, right? And it goes up and it goes down. So I'll put a chart here of what it's done in the last 5 years. You can see it's going up and up and up. Now, you can use it as an investment opportunity, but the way I think you should use cryptocurrency is like a safety net, right? So because you can sell it like that and you can buy things like that. In fact, some countries almost exclusively use Bitcoin. So I'll link an article up here about countries whose inflation is so bad and their currency is worth so little that local stores are only taking foreign currency and Bitcoin as payment. So that people inside this country have basically abandoned their specific kinds of currency that their government gives out and uses Bitcoin exclusively as a means of exchange rate. The reason for that is because as far as finances go and money goes, Bitcoin is one of the safest ways when you're thinking about availability. And what I mean by that is inflation. So right now, the United States government, if they wanted to, could print any amount of money that they wanted to. $100, $1,000, $250 gazillion billion they could print in cash and circulate it. In fact, the US government doesn't even know for sure how much cash is actually available out there because they don't have an exact amount, right? In addition to that, countries like China will sometimes make fake US dollars and try to circulate that into the world economy. So we're never 100% sure exactly how much cash is available at a time. Well, Bitcoin knows exactly how many Bitcoins are available at any given time, and the reason for that is all cryptocurrency is based on something called a blockchain. And a blockchain is a fancy way of saying basically the Wikipedia of international monetary exchange, okay? So what I mean by that is everything about Bitcoin is public. You know exactly how many Bitcoins are going to be released for exactly how long, so you know how many Bitcoins are in circulation at any given time. Because the blockchain is basically like a giant internet ledger, okay? And you can see every individual cryptocurrency that's available, what their plan is. And right now, Bitcoin is going to release 12.5 Bitcoins, I want to say until 2040, but if that might be incorrect, you can always check on the specifics if you're worried about it. So you know exactly how much inflation is going to happen, and that's unlike the way it works in most countries. Like here in the United States, for example, the Fed gets to decide on a whim most of the time if they're going to increase or decrease interest rates. So there's no stability long term to the US dollar because it can change at any moment. Now, the United States has a vested interest in its currency, so they don't want to just print money for the sake of printing money, and they don't want to just raise or lower interest rates for no reason. So they do a lot of study and try to make the best kind of balance, but we don't know year to year, quarter to quarter, what the Fed is going to do. Bitcoin and blockchains eliminate all of that fear. Furthermore, it makes it almost virtually impossible for there to be any kind of data theft or money theft. And the reason for that is while your specific name and social security number isn't saved on the blockchain, all financial interactions with Bitcoin are public. So we know exactly how much there is at any given time and who, where, and when exchanges happen. So that way, if someone's trying to make fake Bitcoin, it almost happens instantly in real time that it can be observed and weeded out. If someone's stealing Bitcoin, they can almost see it instantly because the blockchain is public. It's just like Wikipedia is one of the most accurate sources over a long period of time compared to like encyclopedias or something like that, because it can be changed at any time by anybody. So there might be minor fluctuations on Wikipedia, right? Like right now I could say, your personal driver has the biggest cock in the whole world. It's 17 inches, and that would be on Wikipedia, but then obviously over time, those kind of things are weeded out as more and more people feed into Wikipedia, and we observe in public that what can be true and untrue based upon statistics that are found. So Wikipedia, while it might have minor problems, overall is one of the most accurate databases for information. It's the same thing with the blockchain. Because the public can see it at any time, if there were unfair or unknown fluctuations, it's almost corrected instantly. It's almost, to this point, the perfect kind of ledger, and it provides security for Bitcoin. Lastly, you can use Bitcoin to buy and sell services, and you don't need to even have it to the exact cent. Like oftentimes a transaction is 0.000000125 of a Bitcoin, right? So it's not like a Bitcoin is not like a dollar where you exchange a dollar for a dollar. It's just an amount of money, and as it goes up or down, is worth more or less. And I know that's a little bit confusing, but if you don't have a full Bitcoin, which is currently around $8,000 at the time of this video, you don't have to put $8,000 in to invest in the Bitcoin right away. You can put $10 or $25 or whatever you want to, and then you get a fraction of a Bitcoin, and over time, you build that up, and as it goes up and down, that fraction goes up and down because we have computers. So we don't need exact pennies, we don't need exact dollars, we can have fractions of pennies, we can have fractions of a fraction of a penny because it's all on a computer database. So you don't have to worry. If you can only put $5 into Bitcoin, then you can do that at a time. So over time, you can build it up $5 at a time if that's what you want to do. Okay, guys, so I have a link down below. It's to something called Coinbase. That's the app I use to buy and sell Bitcoin. If you use that referral code, you get $10 of Bitcoin, and I get $10 of Bitcoin just for signing up and using the service. So obviously I would prefer you use my code, but obviously if you don't want to, you don't have to. But feel free. Also, there are other apps and other avenues that you can use to buy and sell Bitcoin. That's just what I personally use. And since I've used it and I feel secure in it, I'm offering it to you too, since you have maybe not dibble-dabbled into Bitcoin. So why I think you should put some of your money into Bitcoin as a baseline emergency fund is, over time, right now, cryptocurrency is growing and growing and growing. And in the short term, it's only going to grow more. And it's almost impossible for it not to. I mean, I know things happen. This could change at any time. But guys, there's risk in everything. I mean, if you invest in Microsoft, Microsoft could go bankrupt tomorrow. And that's how the stock market works. Right? There's crashes, there's ups and there's downs, so there's always risks involved in investing anything. But, sometimes the risk is worth it. And people who have been investing in Bitcoin over the last 5 years have been paid off incredible amounts of money. Bitcoin way back in the day was about $1 for one coin. So you exchanged Bitcoins at $1 for one Bitcoin. So if you had $1 back then, you'd have $8,000 now. So if you had, think about that. If you had 100 Bitcoins, you'd have $800,000 right now. And so a lot of people who are super nerdy and got into cryptocurrency a long time ago are very rich right now. One of the reasons that people had used Bitcoin in the past is for illicit services like prostitution, drugs. If you had like a hacker friend and you wanted to get some like free music or some kind of like identity stolen or something like that, you paid in Bitcoin way back in the day because it wasn't as mainstream. Now you can go to a Subway and buy a sandwich at Subway with Bitcoin. So it's becoming much more mainstream. But the reason it's only going to go up in value is because not a lot of people, one, even know about Bitcoin, or two, trust it as a financial tool. And since we know how many available Bitcoins there are, we know that demand is skyrocketing as more and more people, for example, you watching this video, find out about it. But the available Bitcoins stay a consistent rate, which means the value is only going to go up in time. Yes, it will crash. I'm not going to lie to you. At some point in time, it will crash. But for the foreseeable future, it's not going to. And the reason for that is people are starting to trust it and learn about it, and that curve is going up. But the Bitcoins are staying consistent down here, so the value is going to increase in that. And that goes for all cryptocurrency, but like I said, Bitcoin is the most mainstream one, and so it's the safest one at this point. So one suggestion to you guys, while you're building up your savings in this gig economy world, is to maybe put half it in a mutual fund and half of it into Bitcoin. So just think in your brain that every month you're going to put $100 in your money market account and $100 into your Bitcoin account. And then over time, it may take 3 to 5 years, but you will get to that point where you have 3 months saved up. What's up, guys? So I'm in post-production. As you can see, I'm editing the video. I'm eating a little pizza, drink a little water. I forgot to mention something, so I thought I'd add this real quick in the post-production. Most money market accounts require you to have $1,500, sometimes even $5,000 to even start. So not everyone has just $5,000 lying around to start a money market account. But with Bitcoin, I mean, you could seriously just do $1 or $2, but I think it's $100 to start, and the transactions can be as little as $10. So It's a little bit different than money market. It might be easier for you to start out this way. And the nice thing about that is if you have half of it in a money market account and you have half of it in your Coinbase account, that Coinbase account can become cash instantly. So you can sell your Bitcoin instantly, get the cash instantly, and then use the cash instantly. And then whereas a money market account, it generally takes 2 or 3 weeks to get that money out of that account. Also, the nice thing about Bitcoin is at this point, the tax law hasn't caught up with it yet. So as of this filming, you don't pay any tax on capital gains in Bitcoin, which is basically like stealing money from the federal government. I'm sure that's going to change in the future. I don't see how they don't tax it eventually, but right now, if you make any money on Coinbase going up, or excuse me, on Bitcoin going up, then it's not taxable as of this moment right now. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave you out here. So again, use my link below to the Coinbase app. Hopefully you can invest some money in there and make some good money doing this. Also, I'll see you on Friday and Saturday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the live stream, guys. So deuces. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit subscribe. There'll be a circle icon in the middle of the screen for you to do that. Afterwards, hit the YouTube bell icon so you can get notifications when I upload anything to YouTube or go live. And if you want to watch 2 more videos, there should be 2 on the screen right down below. Lastly, if you enjoy this channel and you'd like to support it, consider becoming a Patreon. Thank you guys, and I hope to see you soon.